dog loves it.
That's a great
Game
intro.
lock. There we go.
Welcome to IT Reality. I'm your host, H-Town Vinny.
And I'm Richard Kenyon.
And I'm Nathan Bennett.
With over 4 decades of combined IT operational experience.
We may have an opinion.
Or not.
And now on with the show.
Let's go!
You know, as that intro was playing, I'm wondering if we need to change it when we invite certain people, because I'm pretty sure that Matt increases our number quite a bit, more than 4 decades. How long have you been doing this, Matt?
Doing what?
IT stuff, specifically.
Gotcha. Thank you for the context, Vince. I have been doing it for way, way too long. You know, I was reflecting on that earlier. Not to go off on a tangent, but I will. I'm the guest. You can't be rude to me. I was reflecting just earlier tonight on Small Business Server 2003 and swing migrations, if anyone remembers those. And what a silly thing all of that was. But yes, thanks for having me back on the show. It's been quite a while. I appreciate the invite and excited to be here. So
for those listening and don't know that voice, that would be Matt Crape. He's a fellow techie from the north, cold white north. He and Mr. Kenyon are quite familiar with what's this symbol stuff I'm being thrown? I think there's gang symbols being thrown at me.
It's the northern pointer. I can just point at Matt. He's over there.
Oh, you know the exact direction where Matt is. That's scary.
No, it's not. We said hi to him when we were in the falls.
Yeah. We not only said hi, but we also waved. But Nathan wasn't there to join us. So Nathan will have to bring you in next time when we do a Niagara Falls trip.
Whatever gets me away from 108-degree heat, I am for it.
Good Lord. I don't miss that, Nathan. I don't miss that from Texas. Even though
you
we're
know
probably
what we say in 108-degree heat there, Vince?
What?
We say it's a beautiful day in Texas, ladies and gentlemen, because I've got a portable AC for my bedroom just so I can sleep at night, and that's how Texans survive the summer.
Living the dream.
Among other things, yeah.
Before we keep going, I would like to shout out to whoever had mentioned to Vince that my gain on my microphone was not properly set, and I have corrected that. So if you are again listening, please let us know if it's better. I went from 8 to 26 and did a gain lock on my Wave 3. So shout out to the nerd who's like, I can't hear Richard. So we appreciate it.
Pretty sure
I'm going to guess it may not be a nerd, Richard. It could be like just someone who is limited in hearing capabilities, and it's just like Richard sounds quiet for some reason. And now you're like throwing all this techno babble. But at the same time, like, yeah, I think everybody listening should tell Richard something to tweak, just so that he has to tweak something every single recording.
I think that might be the meanest thing you've ever said to me.
That's complete IT troll right there.
Oh my God.
And I know exactly who would do it too, since you've invited them to do it. I know exactly who that's going to come from. But yes, we are back doing this podcast thing. And, our last episode, we talked about a certain conference coming up, and it's getting that much closer. I think we're 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. I think that I hate technology because I'm doing things right on my end. And I'm being told that it's still really low, so we'll have to figure that out. But if I'm not mistaken, 2 weeks from today, VMware Explore will be over. If I'm looking at the calendar right and understanding that. We're recording this pre-VMware Explore, but it'll be out here in a few days. So that's the topic for tonight. And while others are doing their thing, I will see if I can figure out why I'm not coming through as clearly as I seem to be. So, Richard, Nathan, Matt, VMware Explore.
Shoes.
Go.
I have been breaking in my new pair of shoes for the last week, so I'm all set on that end.
It's the first one.
Yep.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Comfy Shoes Podcast with IT Reality and guest host Matt Crape. Everybody wear comfy shoes.
I will
It happens every year.
Broken in shoes. Don't break in your shoes at the conference. You will lose your feet.
I will double down on shoes when it comes to Vegas, right? VMworld, San Francisco, yes, you do a lot of walking. I feel like that is doubly true in Vegas, compounded with the heat. And if you make the foolish mistake of going outside, you definitely want comfy shoes, right? And good call on not new shoes, comfy shoes. Comfy shoes are broken in. And great pro tip that I learned from John Nicholson years ago, find the closest CVS, right? If you find that your shoes are the least bit uncomfy, go get some of those Dr. Scholl's, gel soles that you can cut to size, pop them in your shoes. Your feet will thank you.
That's a damn good tip.
Yeah, the second thing I'll add on the CVS is that it's always good to know. Maybe I'm old that I still call them drugstores, right? But at the same, we're not obviously we're talking whatever CVS, Walgreens, whatever you want to call it. But having
Vegas.
having the ability to say, "Oh, I have a cut. I need a Band-Aid. Oh, my nails are insanely long, and I almost killed someone when I shook their hands. I should probably cut my nails." There are myriad of things that you will realize you should have taken care of before you go traveling, and that's maybe not just a conference tip. That's like a travel tip. That's something that you're going to run into multiple times. I don't know how many times I've been on travel and had to just find a CVS or Walgreens for some random thing that I have at home, but now I desperately need.
One of those is chapstick. I made the mistake last time I was in Vegas of not even worrying about chapstick because I live in the humidity of the East Coast. When you're in Vegas, not only for Vegas itself because it's so hot, but because you're at a conference, you are talking more than normal. You are in reconditioned air for the casinos that do highly recycled air and air conditioning, and you have blowers getting blown on you all the time. Make sure you have chapstick because the hotel store chapstick, I took a receipt and tweeted it out last time, was $5.99 for a 99-cent stick of chapstick. And I tweeted the receipt that I was just like, really? So either bring your own or find the CVS or Walgreens that we have been discussing here and pick up a few sticks of chapstick, and it'll change your life where you can actually talk to your friends.
Do we want to talk about crazy Vegas prices for things? So I've got a story.
I think we're going to have to at some point.
Friend of the podcast, Tim Smith, him and I years ago, I think it was HPE Discover 2018-ish. He needed AA batteries. Can't remember what for. I want to say it was a voice recorder, mouse, something like that. Walking around inside the Venetian, and there's a Radio Shack. So we go in there, and he brings two AA batteries up to the cash. And the guy says the price, and Tim hands him like $5. And he goes, "No, it's $38, not $3.80. And Tim just starts uncontrollably laughing. He's like, "Sir, I just can't pay that in good conscience." So him and I still talk about that. So I guess the next tip there is, just be aware of what you might need, right? Think about these things ahead of time, and definitely don't go shopping in the Venetian.
Yeah, or any of the hotel chains, because they really jack their prices up because they want to keep you there, and there's so many things to do inside the hotels. It's like an airport or Disney World. You're a captive audience, and you don't want to leave. But at a certain point, $38 for a pair of double A's. Wow! Oh my god!
I'll add on to that, and I think we're getting into like a rapid fire where each person talking brings up a new thing to keep in mind, which is I think it's a great format. But just to that point, it's expensive to be in Vegas. You're going to probably forget things. I'm going to say check a bag, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what's going to be given away in terms of swag. And I don't know about anybody else on this podcast. I personally never buy t-shirts unless like it's something to really support somebody that I believe in. Every t-shirt that I own is like the t-shirt that I have on. I get from a conference, and relatively they're comfortable. I will probably tweet out the most comfortable t-shirt that I find on the floor just because it's what I like. Rafe one year did it and has an awesome t-shirt that said "Don't hate Kate's." And it was pretty hilarious, but the t-shirt is still absolutely phenomenal. So bring a checked bag. So that's one thing that I would say.
And depending on if you're a vendor or if you are the conference swag circuit king or anywhere in between, not only bring a checked bag, but maybe even an empty, smaller bag in the checked bag for if you buy gifts for your family members, if you are from way out of town, or if you are from other parts of the world other than the United States. Vegas is a major tourism place to be. So if you want to buy things that you cannot normally get anywhere else, checking a check bag is a nice little trick around that. Another thing to think of is pack half the t-shirts that you really need, because there are, washers and dryers inside hotels. If you need spare shirts and you want to save on some weight for your checked baggage, you could wear the conference shirts. You're going to get at least 2 or 3 just being thrown at you. You can go hunting for more, but if you're like any other IT professional, I can actually go upstairs and a good 3/4 of my closet, both in polo shirts and t-shirts, are all IT professional shirts that I've gotten somewhere. And I can count on one hand how many companies no longer exist for shirts I still have.
I have so many responses, but I'll start with, do I still sound really low? Because I sound like I'm yelling.
Sound a little better.
Little better? I don't know what to do. I've got everything slid up.
Back. You were quiet before.
Okay. Well, we're going to go with it because I don't know what else to slide up because everything's already slid up. I can't go any louder.
You're the one that edits it, my friend. So you're the one that determines what you sound like.
It sounds plenty loud to me.
All on you.
I will add on to the batteries and the cables and keeping yourself suitably connected. I recall, Matt, you and I were in a certain town recently, and there was a certain device that we were both wearing that somehow we both managed to have low battery on. And trying to find an Apple store within walking distance was somewhat of a challenge. So you bring extra of certain charge cables if it's not a standard connector, because otherwise you're walking several blocks to buy a $35 cable.
So that was actually going to be another tip that I was going to share, exactly from that instant, shall we call it, oversight. There is an Apple store in Caesars, and I was shocked when I went there because they were standard Apple prices. So, like...
Oh, it wasn't overpriced.
No, it wasn't. I feel like that, it almost felt like a bargain compared to everything else around there. But it's worthwhile to know if you have Apple devices and you do need some sort of cable, you could probably get cheaper at the Apple store, especially if you're on the Strip compared to like any other place on the Strip.
Okay, so that may be the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Which is good. Go ahead, Nathan.
One thing we're a little bit late to the game on because we're recording this so close, but I think this is for every conference as well as VMware Explore, is book your hotel early. If you have just a thought to be a part of a conference, book that hotel. This is a great conference because it's very specific to one resort. I think everything is in the Venetian for VMware Explorer this year. There are other resorts that are all over the place. And having a place to be that is centralized to that area reduces the amount of miles that you walk, and you will walk a number of miles. So never doubt the need or the enjoyment of having a centralized location that you can go to, drop things off, and be able to lay your head down at the end of the day.
Speaking of hotels, if you are even thinking of coming to VMware or any conference in Vegas, the Vegas hotel system is a little different than most other places. You can reserve a hotel from like any date to any date and get usually free refunds up until about 48 hours beforehand, because Vegas is not only a conference destination, it's a high tourist destination and high gambling destination. So they cater to that audience. It's not the same in San Francisco, in Orlando, or some of the other high conference areas in the world. Just book Vegas whenever you hear about a new conference coming there. If you think you're going, you can just cancel it 48 hours beforehand with no charges.
Since we're talking about Vegas, When was the last time y'all were all there? Was it last year or was it more recent
The
than that?
year
Because
before last when they had it in there.
I'm just curious how much it's changed from, let's say, go back 5-10 years to versus now. I mean, how much has the city changed? It's been a little while. Well, probably when Matt and I were there was probably the last time I was there.
Yeah,
What
what was that?
what,
That
2
was
years
last
ago?
year, right? 2022.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
thank you.
even then, I remember thinking at the time, walking along the strip. So it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, because so for reference, Vince and I were both at VMon last year, which was held at the area. Uh, I stayed off-site. I stayed at a Marriott that was near the Excalibur, and I'm one of these fools who enjoys walking. So I'd walk every day, back and forth, sometimes multiple times a day. But walking along the strip, I just remember thinking, wow, I've never seen it like this dead, in that I could count the number of people as I walked over to the area, right? Which usually you would lose count before you even hit the strip. That being said, I do not expect that this time. Once again, I'm actually staying off site, despite the fact that the Venetian rooms were ridiculously cheap. I'm a firm believer, in that I like a little bit of separation. This is going to be more of a working conference for me this year. I have a couple of sessions there. They're representing my employer, all that sort of stuff. I do like to have that disconnection of, hey, you know what? I'm not staying where I'm working, if that makes sense. Give me that space to unwind at the end of the day as I walk back, take an Uber back, or anything like that. So that being said, the Venetian's gorgeous. I've stayed there before.
So keeping in mind of the theme that Nathan had mentioned of bouncing around when somebody says one thing and thinks of another thing, how you approach certain technical conferences might change depending on how active you are in the community. So, for example, I first went to VMworld in 2013 as a customer. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any V experts. I didn't know any VMUG leaders. I didn't know any of the V community. I knew nothing. And I was then introduced to a number of people that I still speak to today on a professional level. I had started to make friends and acquaintances and expand my network a little bit. So by the time I went to the next VMUG, I'm sorry, VMware Explore, VMworld, you see the problem here. Meh. By the time I went to the next time, I was a VMUG leader and by association a vExpert. And then my community expanded a little bit. And then after that, I had a TAM. And then I went as a TAM day. And then after that, I went as a actual partner / vendor because I at the time was working for NetApp. And then after that, this time I'm actually going as a blogger with a press pass. So almost every time I've been to VMware Explore, VMworld, I've actually seen it evolve for myself differently because I'm coming as a different audience member. So I was a customer, I was a partner, I was a person who had a TAM, who had some backstage and behind the scenes availability. I went as a vExpert, I went as a VMUG leader. Every time I've went, it's been completely different for me. So keep that in mind if you're utilizing this as a stepping stone for your career. If you are representing your employer directly, or if they're sending you, or both. You could be doing community sessions and having your employer send you. Keep that in mind and who you're talking to and what you're actually doing there and your goals.
That brings up a very interesting question for me. And that is, we talked about shirts and giveaways and whatnot. And then, Richard, you're talking about your intended audience or who you're representing when you're there at the conference. What do y'all think about the use of branded shirts post you're representing XYZ company? In other words, you worked for, let's just say, VMware since you were, going to that conference. And so you had VMware branded shirts. Fast forward a number of years, you no longer work for VMware, but you have all these shirts. Do y'all still wear them? Do y'all try to cover up the logos or not wear them in certain occasions? What's your thoughts there?
So if you're going to VMware Explore and you're a former VMware employee, you probably shouldn't be wearing the VMware shirt. You're going to be getting lots of questions and all that sort of stuff. Just seems like more hassle than it's worth. But you know what? By and large, I mean, I think it's kind of a bit of a personal choice. Obviously, there's no law against it per se. That being said, I think it's worthwhile to be very cognizant of, are you not even misrepresenting the company as much as are you misrepresenting yourself, right? Well, it may not even be a conscious thing that you're doing, but I wouldn't necessarily go there. I've got a ton of VMware T-shirts. I used to work there. Do I plan on bringing them? No, I don't really see any upside to it. I've got, as we alluded to earlier, plenty of other vendor swag shirts if I wanted to bring them, right?
I think the key might be the polo shirts of the company name on the Explorer Solutions Exchange floor. I think that's when you're going to be mistaken for the Best Buy employee, is if you wear blue shirt and some, beige khakis into Best Buy. I've done that by accident, and people ask me things, and I just think they're being friendly, and then I realize, oh no, they actually think I work there. It happened a number of times. So I think the polo is the key there. Anything else that is, obviously branded similar to how Nathan's shirt is right now, which is actually a badass shirt. I really want that shirt. I don't think I have that one. It's a nice shirt. It's just bright. It's bold colors, blocky font. Oh, good on the designer on that shirt. So yeah, I think it's the polo shirt with the logo name on it is the one that's going to get you into the most, confusion. Avoid those. VExpert shirts, VMUG shirts. Anybody was going to wear those and ask you all sorts of questions about it. But the vendor shirts, be cognizant of what you're wearing and where you're wearing it.
I think a lot of it also comes to how comfortable the shirts are, right? And every marketing person just like woke up from a stupor and was like, what? And I hope they do, because I hope they take notes on it, because I have so my first VMworld, because it was still that back in either 2018 or 2019, I don't remember. But I bought a VMware polo shirt for like 75% off. It's the last day of the conference, and I was like, hey, I want a souvenir. And they had this thing up there that was like, hey, we're just trying to get rid of these shirts. It was a Nike golf shirt, and I bought it, and I didn't wear it for I don't know how many years, because it was a VMware shirt, and I didn't want to wear a branded shirt. That is the most comfortable shirt that I have to play golf in than any other shirt that I have. Right. And because it was so expensive, like that I didn't realize it at the time, but that shirt was like a primo type golf shirt that's like way more expensive than it should have been when I bought it. And so I think that also has a lot to play in like what you're wearing. Obviously, know the scene that you're going into, because you don't want to really wear a VMware shirt at VMware Explore and not work at VMware. It's not going to be a fun experience for you. But I expect there to be a bunch of people wearing shirts from like last year or things like that. And that's just par for the course, right?
So speaking of shirts and marketers paying attention, listen to me very carefully. 100% cotton or the 60/40 poly cotton blends. Oh, so soft. Oh my goodness gracious. So soft and smooth. Oh, and for polo shirts, honestly, just the cotton or the breathable mesh. That's what you should be aiming for. Don't get all crazy with the cotton blend mesh, or don't get all weird with the, hey, this is a Wix shirt and an Under Armour combination. No, listen to me. 3 types of shirts. Cotton, 60/40 poly blend, mesh shirt for the polos. Don't get smart. Don't get cute. Just do that.
So, are you really dialed into the 60/40? Could be, like 38/62, or
no, it's got to be 60/40. My wife likes the shirts. They're very soft. They in the humid environments that you and I live in, they're very nice. The various offspring that I have around the house, along with nieces and nephews, love them as sleeper shirts. Oh, fantastic.
I like how he says various offspring around the house. That's a different way to put it, sir. Very different way to put it.
So one thing I do want to add to this is that we'll be on social media, we'll be podcasting, we'll be doing a bunch of content creation, maybe those 1-minute videos that they put out in different areas that will be on different social media platforms that is not TikTok. But we'll probably be putting some different things out there, and I'll definitely be we'll probably put something out there in terms of like, hey, these are the shirts that are really nice, and like make some call outs to some different companies and do some different interviews. So we'll try to do some stuff about that. So stay tuned to the channel and different areas, and we'll try to get that content out to everybody.
Well, actually, as we're doing favorite shirts, the favorite piece of clothing that I own from a VMware Explore VMworld conference is the Dell vExpert hoodie. I don't remember when that was, but it's very Tron-esque. It's fantastic. People call me on that all the time when I'm at, like fairs or, events around my community, here, just out with the family. It's got a singular striped LED from the top all the way down across the front, down to the zipper. And people just freak out because it's like they've never seen LED wiring for, hoodies and stuff like that. It's mint. The material that it's made of is a little bit waterproof. It's fantastic. I love it. Great job on the marketing team on that for Dell.
How could
I
something be
definitely
a
have not
little
seen that
bit
one.
waterproof?
Because it's like a weird, like meshy thing that you'd have on your backpack. Like it'll still get wet, but it's got like almost an armor coating on it. I can't quite describe it.
So water resistant?
Sure.
All right. So we're sitting here podcasting, talking about a tech conference, and we haven't talked about any tech, nor have we really gone into
No,
the conference.
fashion,
so I'm
man.
going to change the conversation a little bit here.
No, when I'm migrating my hosts, I want to look good.
You do that, sir. You go right ahead and do that. So we will be podcasting from VMware Explore. I've already connected with some folks on that topic. There's going to be a couple things we'll be doing different this time than previous conferences, at least through the IT reality front. So we will, as Nathan said, we will be generating some short form content, and we'll put that out there as we talk to people. We also will have a dedicated space, and I will make sure to share that out where we're going to be once we know how to describe how to get there. But we're doing something a little bit different this time. And if you happen to be watching the video version of this podcast, you'll notice something orange just off screen over my shoulder here. That is going to be our rig, and that needs to come back less orange. So the last time we recorded, I mentioned that we were going to do something a little different, have something cool to offer. And that is, if you're going to VMware Explore and you have a vCommunity related sticker, come tag the case. That case full of podcast gear needs to come back less orange. Consider the challenge, the gauntlet thrown down. Thoughts?
I like it. Yeah, I mean,
I love it. I want some more of it.
Everybody has different stickers. I think of the blogger table and the sticker table, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully that has a resurgence. I think the last VMware Explorer I had difficulty finding that, but I think it was still there. So let's hope that has a resurgence. We have more people in the community showing up there, talking about their blogs, and having stickers for their podcast, blogs, whatever. At the end of the day, this is a community of people, and let's just show support for each other.
Speaking of that, Nathan, if you look on the hashtag on Twitter or X or whatever you want to friggin' call it now, I don't even know anymore if it's going to be in existence, but that's a whole nother topic. If you do hashtag VSticker, you will probably see my name, Richard Kenyon, or Buffalo VMUG. I kind of branded that when we had all of the stickers in more popularity than they are now. I actually collect them all for all of the different vendors at the show, all of the different VMUGs, and all of the different people who have blogs and podcasts. And then I bring them back to Buffalo, New York, and share them with my community. I hope that this brings an idea that you can do the same thing. Just tag it VSticker and you can see what happens. It's a big hit at the Leader Summit as well.
Interesting.
Cool story, bro. So, Matt, what other
You're gonna go home wearing your shirt
pieces of opinions do you have for people that are thinking about going to a conference? What's another top tip?
Back in the day, I used to give myself a goal of meeting X number of new people a day, right? Whether it's sitting down with someone at lunch, crossing the street, bumping into them in the hallway. I set that goal of, hey, you know what? Start off small, 5 people a day, right? By probably about VMworld 2017, I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to see if I can meet like 20 new people a day. And when I say meet, I'm just talking about having that quick conversation, see where it goes. Sometimes it spans into, a big, long conversation. Other times, a person thinks that you're crazy, right? Why is a stranger talking to me? But the point is, chances are we're all there because we have similar interests, not to say same hobbies or anything like that, but we're all probably in tech in some way or form. and you just really never know who you're talking to. They might be a former coworker or sorry, a future coworker for all you know, right? It's a real opportunity and something that you shouldn't be wasteful of.
Yeah, and I'll add something to that. I think the outreach is a great tip. Like, be sure to meet new people and reach out to those folks. But as a prep, getting ready before you go out there, be prepared to give what we refer to as an elevator pitch, right? So like a 30-second to a minute and 30-second type spiel about what do you do and what are your strengths, right? At these type of conferences, that matters, because if you're able to accurately detail not only what you do but what you're good at, that will trigger in people's brains to the point where, hey, if I know that, then maybe I'll connect with them on LinkedIn, which, I don't carry around business cards. I just show people my QR code for LinkedIn to say, hey, connect with me, and they can message me and whatever. That's fine. I think this year I'll actually bring business cards because I'm old school in that way, I guess. But I do both. But that creating that sort of soundbite in someone's mind to think, hey, I need this type of tech skills, this type of tech. I remember I met that guy, and then reach or girl, and reaching out to them. That's a great opportunity that we have at VMware Explore in order to do that.
Yep. So my goal is along the same lines as Matt and Nathan here. Is I tended to follow Nate's advice. Sorry, Matt's advice to start with, of meeting new people all the time. But as I got more and more involved in the community, it kind of changed since the pandemic, where you might have lost contact with some of the people that you used to know. You might have lost, day to day or week to week or month to month contact with some of your professional acquaintances. See if they are at the conference, grab lunch with them, bring them a snack, be like, hey, I haven't spoken to you in a while. Why don't we, take 5 minutes and chat and what you've been up to? How's the family been? How's work been? Are you still at the same place that you were last time? Make this conference the ability to reconnect. I know there was a conference last year, which was like kind of the return of, in-person conferences, but this one seems to be a little more energetic, and it seems to be we're a year out from the return. Reconnect with some folks. That's my goal this time.
So on the topic of snacks, Matt, how many coffee crisps are you bringing this trip? And I'd just like to say, when I reached out to you a while back and told you I found some here in the Nashville area, there's still 6 of them in my fridge. So I'm good. Don't need to bring any for me.
Well, you say that, but let me ask you this. Why do you still have 6? Like, to me, they just seem crazy expensive down there. So you want to savor them, right? It's like each one of those is probably like, what, $4?
Something like that. I don't remember exactly.
But you know what? That in of itself is another great tip. I first started bringing coffee crisps to conferences after I met fellow Canadian Mike Preston. Ironically, we first met down in San Francisco, and he's more or less my local VMUG leader. And he mentioned something about folks going crazy for coffee crisps down there. So the next conference I went to, I started bringing coffee crisps, and it got to the point where people would actively start seeking me out, saying, hey, do you have any of those coffee crisps left? It's like, I've got no idea who this person is, but they would come and find me. Going back to my previous comment, that really helped me fill my quota really easily. People who I didn't know were coming to find me. Some cases I find out, these people are like directors or senior directors at VMware, right? Like it was just crazy, the doors that it opened. At the end of the day, I'd spend, I don't know, maybe like $20 on coffee crisps, and it gave me all these connections. Like it's just mind blowing. Slight tangent, coffee crisp, or they're owned by Nestle. They actually gave me a voucher, and they more or less sponsored me for the Pittsburgh VMUG many years ago. So,
that's awesome.
Nice.
On the same topic of snacks, I'll add on this. Hey, it's great to have snacks. It's great to eat and enjoy whatever snacks you have, but stay hydrated. Drink water. It's hot out there, especially we're going to be in Vegas. It's going to be hot. We're going to be inside a lot, but even if you're inside a lot, still stay hydrated.
I may have a surprise for us. Y'all keep going.
We're waiting on you, Mom. Like, what are we doing here?
Did anybody say edit point? Should we say edit point?
Yeah, I think that's a good edit point.
So we talk about all of these. So we talk about all of these different things that we should probably do and say, and it's great stuff. But I think one of the main things that we all got to think about in terms of conferences is schedules, right? And to that point, one tip that I'll always bring up is download the app as soon as it's available, log in, and start being like a college kid ready to start his freshman year, their freshman year, I should say, and just be on that class schedule. There's so many more tips that we can talk about on the schedule, in terms of like what you should do and how you should really think about those things. But I think that it all starts with making sure that that app is downloaded or logged in, and you're ready to kind of understand like where's the map, where's everything. Which, by the way, the map is already in the app right now, which I find to be absolutely hysterical. Because obviously they just have an outline of what they're intending to do, and so every update, I assume that the map is going to be changed, but you can still see the map in the app right now, which is pretty cool.
I didn't even know that the app was already published. I thought that they did not unlock that until like a day or two beforehand.
No,
that a
what
recent
you
change?
might be thinking of, which is relevant to our listening audience right now, the app is live, the schedule is live, everything that you need is live in the app. Certain things will be added, like profile pictures and things like that. But what the main thing is, 2 weeks before the conference, I don't know exactly what the date is when the website allows you to download your calendar from the site into Outlook or whichever calendar system you end up using. A lot of people tend to do that. It usually happens 2 weeks before, so it might even be out, but I haven't checked it yet because of the app. Just FYI to everybody.
I'm still learning things, apparently. That this is awesome. All right. Podcasting, shoes, snacks, cables. I think all that we're left with is let's go. Let's meet up. Let's have some fun. It's been a while since we've actually done this whole thing. At least some of us. Part of this group has gone the last couple years without me, but I'll leave that as it is. We hope to see y'all in Vegas.
I've actually got one more thing.
What you got there?
Dang nabbit.
I'll let it out. Just go. What you got there, Nathan?
The one last thing that I'll have.
Final thoughts. How about we do final thoughts? Then we'll go around and then we'll be done.
So one last thing that I have is going to these conferences. You can get absolutely inundated with a ton of different styles of information, and every different conference has specific tracks. Pick a track as is my specific tip, I guess. And what I mean by that is that there are things that you can do, there are things that you cannot do. What you cannot do is be two places at once, and what you definitely cannot do is be in two rooms in completely far and away different areas of the conference in 5 minutes, right? And you will find yourself in that type of scenario if you try to be that session jumper from all the different places. So pick a track and focus on that track. I'll give an example. Last year, the year before last year, I should say, the VM world before the last VMware Explore, I specifically was focusing around Kubernetes, and everything that I did was Kubernetes, and I would treated it like a collegiate course of everything K8s. And what I came from is having a great understanding of Kubernetes, open source technologies, and Tanzu, which at that point was kind of a Project Pacific, PKS, different things that was happening around that time. But it allowed me to then transfer those skills into different areas. So one tip that I would say is if you're going to educate yourself on a specific set of solutions, try to hone that down to what you really want to focus on, and then treat it like that educational opportunity like it is, because you will learn a ton of stuff. What you got, Matt?
So I'm going to take what you just said and tweak it a little bit in that absolutely know what your interests are, know what you want to get out of it, but also take the opportunity to go attend a session on something that maybe you know nothing about, right? Something that you're interested in, something that's on the fringe of what you do. It might turn out to be a waste of time, or it might turn out to give you sort of that push, that oomph that you need to, hey, you know what, this is pretty cool. I want to start diving a little bit deeper into it. And the plus side is, if there's a good speaker there, you could probably go approach them after the fact, have that conversation, ask for resources. But there's, it's pretty hard to kind of replace that in-person knowledge transfer. You don't quite get that from watching a YouTube video.
So I'm going to jump in right off that and also remind everybody, a lot of product managers, a lot of technical marketers, and a lot of senior engineers are going to be at this conference. I myself am going to be tracking down a technology I haven't had a chance to really experience until recently at my company, which is vSAN. I've gotten to know John Nicholson a little bit in the Twitterverse as well as the vExpert Slack channel. I can't wait to talk to him in person because now I get to utilize what he is in charge of, respectively at the moment. Anybody else in that situation where they have a new technology new to them that they haven't experienced in the workplace versus a home lab, go find the PM for that product, go find the technical marketer for that product and have a good conversation. Because again, what Matt just said, the in-person one-on-one is vastly different than, chat channels or video chat.
And I just can't wait to be around a bunch of goofy people that understand me. I think that's one thing, Richard, you've said about VMUG and some other circles and the V community space is just being able to just completely nerd out and what some may view as that weird guy talking whatever. We all get it. So let's go nerd out. That's what I say. Any objections? Anything else?
Let's dance it out.
Let's go. This has been another great episode of IT Reality.
We are everywhere, so pick your podcast app. You can also find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter.